Hello everyone, it is my pleasure to participate in this event on behalf of Brussels New Generation, the BNG, a network of over 700 young professionals in Brussels. Brussels being Brussels, our members are from many different EU and non-EU nationalities, diverse backgrounds, and are working in very diverse organizations. So it is quite a representative group of young generations across Europe. And I will share some reflections of what I think are the expectations of this diverse group towards multilateral governance. And my starting point for these reflections is the feeling that is probably shared by many millennials that we grew up with a sense of we are reaching the end of history. And in the last half decade or so, we realized that this is not the case anymore. For example, progression of globalization, technological progress, and actions addressing climate change used to be governed at global level in multilateral fora, and the overall sense was that it was working fine or at least good enough, and this is really not the case anymore. And more dramatically, the direction of progress or even the need for progress is being questioned, and not only by activist groups, that was already the case in the 20th century, but also by global elites, including heads of state and presidents of major economies. So my first expectation would be to discuss in this event what the overall long-term goals or long-term challenges should be that multilateral governance needs to address. And climate action here jumps to mind as an example. It might be easy to refer to the Paris Agreement to find the answer to the question of what the global targets should be, but that's also a case in point. Can the superpowers really agree on that? And what about the governance of digital transformation? Here it becomes even murkier. What are the long-term goals we strive for with digital transformation? It seems that the world stumbled into a situation where digital threatens first order values of democracy, trust in science, and the rule of law. So Brussels is a very special place to discuss some of these questions. My hunch is that many of the young professionals who flock to Brussels have at least the expectation of somehow benefiting from globalization and multilateral institutions. For example, professionally speaking, working in fields related to the EU. But it would be too easy to state as a second expectation, please hand over the multilateral institution intact from one generation to the next generation of maybe a global elite that has international education and wants to have international careers. Instead, the second expectation I would like to put to the discussion here is more inclusive. And the question would be, how can multilateral governance communicate more effectively not only to the global elite and the future global elite, but also the disenchanted who are driving the backlash against multilateral governance and multilateral institution that we have seen in the last few years. So those would be my two questions or my two expectations that I hope can be discussed here in this event. Thank you very much for your attention.